Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, you remember when you were a kid? I don't know. I assume you got an allowance for doing chores, and if you were anything like me, you'd get your allowance, and then it would be immediately within like 45 minutes. It was all spent on baseball cards
Hmm.
or whatever, and there was no budgeting for the rest of the week until the next one came. I feel like that's how Ohio State fans are with their wishes about the 2026 Ohio State team. It's like, listen, all I want is a kicker. I want a new kicker. That's all I want. Maybe another. I want them to spend more time focusing on special teams. That's it. And it's like, well, all right. You have blown your whole year of wishes now. You don't get to get mad about anything else all year. Ryan Day has made all of your wildest dreams come true, and it's not even technically February yet.
Yeah, he's going to make him smoke the entire special teams pack in this one. The report coming from CBS Sports that Ohio State hiring Robby Disher from Illinois as their new special teams coordinator. And Tom, boy, sure, it wasn't that long ago that one of the downfalls of Ryan Day's program was the fact that he had a special teams coordinator and in Parker Fleming. Now, there's a great difference between the happiness of signing a special teams coordinator now versus then. And that back then, your special teams coordinator for Ohio State, Parker Fleming, was one of the 10 countable assistants on the road. Now that is not the case, so why not have a full-time coordinator coordinating your special teams? And so a year that we just saw with Ohio State 2025, nothing really, not a remarkable special teams. And that was one area where if you're going to limit the amount of possessions and your defense is probably not going to be as good, one area where you can certainly improve a great deal is on special teams. Some say it is 1/3 of the game. So here, Ryan Day going and getting a a good, a well known in those circles special teams coordinator is a move in a good direction.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's probably not really a third of the game in terms of the impact, but it's like having a good closer in baseball where yeah, he's only gonna play a small percentage of the game, but you can, in the higher leverage moments of the game, that's where that can make a huge difference. And if you think back through some of the games Ohio State's lost over the years, it's like, boy, there was a missed field goal or a special team snafu or sometimes both in a huge number of those. And the special teams on the whole for Ohio State have been fine. It's just, man, it has come back to bite them really badly at really, really inopportune moments. And I know that a lot of people have viewed this as a referendum on Ryan Day doesn't know what he's doing or whatever. But here I am strumming my guitar like a youth pastor. Uh, can I tell you the story about another man who had problems on special teams down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and his name was Nick Saban. Strums guitar. This is one of these things where it doesn't matter unless it really matters, and sometimes it will really come back and bite you. And I think you can think of plenty of opportunities where that has been true for Ohio State. But much like there was a lot of consternation about Ohio, the play calling last year, and you didn't have you have a play caller. Well, okay, Ryan Day has addressed that issue, and Ryan Day has learned that lesson once again. Ryan Day learned that lesson in 2023. He's learning it again now. Now you have the special teams piece of this as well. The special teams for Ohio State weren't bad last year. They were just kind of like fine. They've been just kind of fine for a couple of years in a row, and they've had some good moments and they've had some bad moments. But this is an opportunity to maybe improve things a little bit there, which with as many potentially one possession games as they could have on their schedule this year, that could make a real big difference in whether they are a 9-win team or a 10-win team or an 11-win team.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State did have their first kickoff return for a touchdown in over a decade this year, so
Mm-hmm.
not all was lost. But Disher spent the last 3 years at Illinois. His first year, they led the nation in blocked kicks or punts, had 7, which were 3 more than anybody else in 2023. I thought it was interesting. In 2014, he was a graduate assistant at Tulane, I believe, and was the football scoop. Oh, it was Oklahoma State. Sorry, he was the football scoop special teams coordinator of the year as a graduate assistant because of the number of blocks that they had. 6 kicked punts or blocks. So I'm not sure if this is the next Frank Beamer that Ohio State is adding, but a guy that has developed some units that have been able to get after the kickers and the punters, and that's something that Ohio State hasn't done a lot of, has not been known for that. Greg Schiano brought in a couple of plays, most famously against Michigan in 2019 or 2018 rather. Mm-hmm. It's an area where we talk about it all the time. If you block a punt and score a touchdown on that, as Urban Meyer would say, your winning percentage is like 90%. So this is an area where Ohio State could stand to improve. The last 2 years with the ESPN, I think SP Plus special teams metrics for special teams had Illinois 16 in 2024 and 30 last year in 2025. If Ohio State adding now Connor Hawkins, having a punter back for a 3rd year in a row, maybe they can get some improved return game for themselves. I'll be interested to see what kind of philosophy that Disher has in terms of the return game, because he's had some very good returners over his career, but your philosophy probably changes based on who you've got back there that can return,
Yeah, for sure. You're going to have some really talented players on the Ohio State team, and it's not like Illinois has a monopoly on fast guys or athletic guys. Ohio State has plenty of those on their roster as well, and probably a deeper rotation of fast and athletic guys who he can potentially work with now. But the results are there. It's funny you mentioned his time at Oklahoma State, because when you look at his, you mentioned the SP Plus special teams rankings during his time in Illinois, FEI, which is just another advanced metric. They were 88th in special teams in FEI in his first season of 2023. His second year, they were 7th, and then they took a little bit of a step back. But that's that reminds me of another guy who once coached at Oklahoma State, where it doesn't, maybe it didn't show up the first year, but boy, you see the improvement the second year. I would assume that this is something where they can, I doubt Ohio State's going to drop back to 88th in special teams FEI this year, but you see the improvement there, where it was not just a magical, one great year and that's it, or they were coming from a very high level. They were coming from a low level, and he got some real improvement there. So yeah, this feels like this is a show that we're going to post, and I think a lot of people are going to kind of shrug and go, it's a special teams coordinator, what does it matter? But I don't, I think this is one that it doesn't matter until it really, really does. And it has really, really mattered for Ohio State in a couple of key moments in the past in a bad way, and now it could be in a good way. I did try to check on whether, what was going on with the guys who were already coaching Ohio State special teams, Rob Keyes and Gunnar Daniel, because those guys, it has felt like the special teams have been perfectly fine the last couple of years. Outside of some missed field goals, there has really not been issues on the special teams. And it sounds like it's at least a possibility that those guys will continue on the staff in Ohio State, which at this point, you have an unlimited coaching staff. You should, if you've got those guys, by all means, keep them on staff. Those are guys who have gotten decent results, as you said. Kick return for a touchdown this year, punt return for a touchdown last year, neither of which we had seen in 10 years at Ohio State. And the kick coverage was generally very good. The punt coverage was generally very good. They didn't give up big plays there. There weren't a ton of huge plays either way, but they were certainly not. They certainly did not have the just absolute, the punt team trots on and you can just hear the circus music slowly fading in like there was when it was the Parker Fleming era at Ohio State. So they've definitely improved a lot over the last couple of years, and it feels like this could be another step forward.
Yeah, it's just, it hasn't been a weapon, and if it could become a weapon, then that kicks things up a notch for Ohio State, and it could be the difference between a loss in a close game and a win in a close game. And in these matchup games, as we're seeing, you keep falling just a little bit short. Any little bit can help. So there you go. Reportedly, new special teams coordinator coming to Ohio State. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified. If you're listening, a 5-star rating and review is always appreciated as well. And you can find us talking about this and more at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up now. Say hello to us there on the Buckeye Huddle message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.